In the Joseon dynasty, women spent their time in a room called gyubang, located in the innermost part of the house. Separated from sarangche, the men's quarters, gyubang represented the world of women, where they could engage in creative and artistic activities. Using scraps of fabric left over from making clothes for their families, they created everyday objects with their nimble fingers. And those objects, reshaped by time and human touch, became artwork. Colors resembling nature. Elegant lines. And paper that embraces light. Characterized by all these and many more, Hanji craft is a form of art that is exquisite yet practical and represents the traditional beauty of Korea. Art that demonstrates its true value not when it's observed, but when it's used in everyday life. Korea's handicraft has stepped outside the boundaries of gyubang and is now making its name on the global stage. Jan Coveney is a Hanji artist from Australia. Returning to Korea in a decade, she's set to rediscover the art of Hanji. Jan is on her way to Gapyeong of Gyeonggi-do Province. Her destination is a Hanji workshop that she has long wanted to visit. Named Changjibang, the workshop has been making Hanji in the traditional way for 4 generations. Upon arriving in Gapyeong, she is greeted by countless paper mulberry trees, all boasting a healthy green.
When I first discovered Hanji paper, I had no idea that it came from the bark of the mulberry tree. I knew that it was something very special, but I had no idea that it was from this tree. And I didn't know the processes that they used to make the paper.
At Changjibang, the Hanji making process is in full swing. Paper mulberry trees that are 1 year old are cut and boiled for 8 to 10 hours, which makes their barks strip off easily.
Hello.
Hello.
How do you do?
Good, thank you. How are you?
이거는 맹물로 해서 잿물 만드는 거예요. 그래서 젤을 해서 여과 장치를 해가지고요. 이 밑으로 떨어지는 물이 잿물이에요. 네. 이 안에 끓고 있는 게 당나무 껍질이에요. 당나무 껍질. 네. 아직 안 익었거든요.
Mix it up, yes.
계속 저어주면서.
Boil it.
네.
How long do they do this for?
당나무는요, 한 6시간 정도 끓여주고요. 한 2시간 정도 이렇게 이제 푹 해가지고 뜸을 들이는 겁니다. 그게 하루 종일 끓여야 돼요. 네.
Very interesting process.
Boiled and simmered for hours, Hanji is the outcome of a long, patient wait.
안에다 넣어놓은 거예요.
That's the same stuff, yeah, just boiled.
예. 근데 이렇게 익힌 것은 다 익으면은요,
Yeah.
조금 부드러워져요. 익은 거는 이렇게 펼치면
Yeah.
되게 부드럽게 펼쳐져요. 이렇게.
Wow.
어?
The
이게
fibers.
섬유, 예, 섬유예요. 이렇게,
Wow.
이렇게.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
예, 한번
Very
해보실래요?
strong. Okay.
예. 그래도 힘들어요.
Mm.
떨어지긴 떨어져도 힘들게
Yeah.
떨어지는데 얘는 안 떨어져요. 얘는 안 떨어집니다. 장정해도 안 떨어지는 거예요. 예.
The name Changjibang literally means a room where the Chang makes paper. Being the fourth generation to take over the family business, Chang Song-woo takes great pride in the fact that his workshop manufactures the best quality Hanji in the traditional way.
예, 장지방의 특징은 그 당나무의 인피섬유를 가지고 종이를 만드는 건데요. 그것을 오래 보존할 수 있도록 만드는 것이 가장 큰 특징 중에 하나예요. 그런데 그 섬유를 파괴하지 않는 것이 그 아주 전통적인 방법밖에 없다고 생각을 하거든요. 그래서 저희가 당나무의 껍질에 함유된 섬유를 그대로 채취하는 것이 가장 큰 특징이고요.
It is said that Hanji needs to pass through one's hands 100 times. So it's sometimes called 백지, 백 meaning 100. In short, Hanji is made with great care.
여기서는 나쁜 거, 좋은 거 선별하는 겁니다. 예, 이런 거 같은 거 이제 띄어내고요. 예. 그게 이제 물에서 고르는 이유는요. 물에다 넣으면 당나무가 이렇게 펴져요. 그래서 숨어 있는 티라든지 이런 게 나오는 거고, 네, 그런 거 잡아내는 거예요.
After they are completely rid of unwanted specks and the lye, the barks are pounded for hours to loosen up the fibers. Next, water and the mucilage from hibiscus manihot roots are mixed.
아까처럼 이렇게.
Hanji's ability to be preserved for over 1,000 years comes from this substance.
Yes, yes.
일단 이거 물을 만든 다음에 이제 종이를 지통에다 넣고 종이 뜨는 거예요.
Yes.
아, 이게 조금씩 저어줘요. 이렇게. 네.
Right.
네.
Okay.
잘 섞이게.
Yeah, yeah.
네. 그다음에 옆으로 뜨는 거예요. 옆으로.
Ah.
네. 이렇게. 자연스럽게 쭉 밀었다가.
Oh, this.
네.
Okay. And then. This is a special Jan paper.
예, 맞아요. 퀵. 빠르게.
After the sheets are drained and dried, they become the hanji that Jan is used to.
I've always wanted to come to Changjibang's, and I've now had the opportunity to do that. So it's been a wonderful experience because I've been able to see firsthand what it's like in a handmade paper factory where everything is done organically. Everything that he does, all the processes that they go through are done with the utmost of care and with the greatest of detail.
Jan's one-of-a-kind hanji is completed. In search of Korea's colors that will brighten up her paper, she heads to her next destination. Yeongcheon of Gyeongsangbuk-do has recently emerged as the mecca of natural dyes. Jan's first stop in Yeongcheon is Gyeogotek, her place of stay as well as the region's famous tourist attraction. The house was built by Cho Myung-jik in 1767 when he came to Gyeori. The name Gye, meaning a hill with a tortoise, is the pen name of Cho Myung-jik's grandson, Jo Guk-seung. Far from the hubbub of the city, Yeongchun's fields are awash in autumn. A rich and warm tone, autumn yellow is one of Jan's favorite colors. While enjoying Korea's autumn at leisure, she makes a short stop at a farmhouse where the residents are busy with the harvest.
Hello. Hey. What are you doing?
There's something cozy and heartwarming about the countryside, be it in Australia or Korea.
85. Wow. Thank you.
The residents eagerly give the stranger some sweet potatoes to taste, proving the generosity of the Korean people.
Oh. We do. Do you? Yes. You eat it raw? It's quite sweet, but the texture is quite fibrous. Oh. And then there's the generosity of the people. When we saw the elderly people, man and woman, tending their crops, that they had spent so many hours tending the fields, picking the crops, and making them ready for market. And there they were, just giving us a whole lot of sweet potatoes. So yeah, for me it was very humbling that somebody would want to give things away like that to a foreigner that they'd spent so much time producing.
Jan's search of Korea's colors has brought her to Yeongchun. A public art project has transformed the village's various venues into art museums and galleries, and its residents into artists. It all began here, at the Seong Art Museum. A school that was shut down 17 years ago because of a lack of students underwent a stunning transformation. The empty schoolyard became a grassy park filled with sculptures. Empty houses were turned into stylish artworks, and the museum became a cultural and artistic attraction of Yeongchun, visited by more than 4,000 people each month. Jan is greeted by art wherever she goes. From the apricot trees that symbolize the loftiness of a classical scholar to the picturesque autumn sceneries, paintings colorfully decorate the walls of the houses.
I haven't seen paintings like this before, not on walls, not on fences. This one reminds me of the Korean countryside, and I can see the rice paddies and the mountains and the hillside. And this one I think is beautiful. I love the flowers. I believe they're a plum. It's a plum. It represents the countryside, I think, in two different ways. So I'm very impressed with this. I like the rough surface at the top here, and they look so beautifully done. So yeah, they're well done in Australia as well, but it's a different type of art.
Late afternoon, Jan heads to Orijangnim Forest in Chachunli. This lush forest has stood here for some 400 years. Its name derived from the fact that it stretches for 5 ri, pronounced o ri, which is equivalent to 2 kilometers. The forest has been designated as Natural Monument number 404.
I love the autumn leaves because they are the colours, the browns, the reds, the mustard colours. So they're warm colours, and the warm colours for me, when in my Hanji, I find that I'm using them a lot, those colours. I tend to try other colours and then I go back to the autumny shades. So I think I would like to dye the Hanji paper in a yellowy green colour, sort of to symbolise the turning of the leaves and the changing of the season from autumn as it goes into winter.
Jan's day is not over despite the late hours. Currently writing a book on Hanji, she needs to record everything she has seen and heard today. It was 16 years ago in Andong that she first came across Hanji. She recalls how it felt, as if she'd been hypnotized. Having fallen in love with Hanji, she became a Hanji artist at the age of 50. Even now, Hanji never fails to move her with its new charms, the reason why she is all the more excited about tomorrow. Yeongcheon is the hometown of natural dyes. From the past, Koreans used medicinal herbs as dyes to create the 5 colors of Korea.
These are the colours of Korea.
Because Hanji is easily permeated by water, it can express any color. At Hyun-ja's natural dyeing factory, which is famous even in Japan and China, a fermentation technique is applied to dyes using traditional medicinal herbs.
한약재 자체를 가지고 염색을 하니까 색이 여러 가지로 다양하게 나오더라고요. 그래서 염색을 하게 됐는 거고, 한약재 자체는 옛날부터 저희 조상들이 다 하시던 거를 가지고 다시 재현했을 뿐입니다. 숨어있던 거를 발견한 거죠.
Yeongcheon is home to a traditional market that accounts for 30% of all medicinal herbs that are traded nationwide. Colorful clothes, bedding, and daily objects have been dyed with medicinal herbs, illustrating the beauty that's unique to Korea.
소목, 빨간색으로 된 소목.
Formal. I think we have this in Australia. I'm not sure what the Australian word for it is, but I think something similar.
열대지방에서 자라는 나무인데 그거 카트해서
Yes.
빨간색으로 염색을 할 수 있는 거고 한약재료도 우리가 먹을 수 있는 거예요. 네, 차로도 먹을 수 있는 거고요. 네.
This will go red, right? Yeah,
네.
yeah.
그리고 이거 쪽 인디고.
Indigo.
네, 지금 가을의 하늘색.
Yeah, this is indigo here.
네.
Indigo. Beautiful. All of these are boiled.
네, 이거 염색을 할 때는 전부 끓여서 만드는 염색을 합니다.
Yes, yes.
예.
And
우려내서.
how long do you boil it for?
예, 약재마다 다 다른데 소목 같은 경우는 한 2~3시간 정도 끓여야 되고
Oh, right. A long time.
얘는 한 3시간 정도 이상 끓여야 돼요.
Okay.
오늘 삶은 물을 가지고 한지에다가 염색을 해가지고 작품을 할 거예요.
Okay.
네,
Good.
한번 넣어보세요. 네. 그래서 한지는 바로 빼야 됩니다. 네.
Yes.
넣으세요.
Amazing.
Each piece of paper is carefully dipped in the dye and dried under the sun. Some rightly say that natural dyeing is the aesthetics of patience and care.
가을에 하늘 쪽에다가 노랑에 비치는 색깔. 3가지 원색을 냈는데 여기에서 또 다른 색을 하고 싶으신 게 있으십니까?
Well, I love the yellow, and I think that tells us the most about autumn. So what I'd like to do next is maybe mix that with a little bit of the indigo and get a little bit of a green tinge on it as well.
그러면 지금 노란색에 쪽색을 넣어가지고 그린톤을 만들어 보겠습니다. 예.
The Hanji slowly begins to embrace the colors.
It doesn't look green yet, but I'm sure once it dries it'll...
마음에 드세요?
I do. Like the autumn colours.
아, 네. 네,
Yeah,
감사합니다.
You can look at the trees, they're sort of, yeah.
색다른 염색법이에요.
Yeah.
어떠세요?
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love the way the colours all mix in with one another and the lovely bark colours.
Korean traditional crafts, very different from the crafts in the Western world, are distinguished not only by an exquisite beauty, but also by a practicality that unveils their true value only in everyday life. She now wants to learn more about Kyubang craft, another form of daily art that reflects the lives of Koreans.
Nice to meet you.
비단에 이제 조각을 해서 조각조각 이어서 이렇게 생활에 쓸 수 있는 러너로 이렇게 현대적인 감각의 생활에 실용적인 러너로 이렇게 러너.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's lovely. Yes.
푸른색과 뒤쪽에 붉은색이 이제 음양의 조화를 이룬 항상 옛날에 그 느낌을 다 기본으로 깔고 이렇게 만든 거예요. 선생님께서 또 어머니에 대한 뭐 특별한 추억이나 이런 게 있으세요?
One of her loves was actually doing very fine sewing.
어머니께서도 바느질을 하셨다니 참 놀랐습니다. 저희 어머니도 그냥 저도 이게 어머니에 대한 추억이 있는 도자기인데
that is beautiful.
저희 외할머니께서 어머니를 시집 보내기 전에 이 천을 짜서 속바지를 만들어서 그래서 보내셨어요. 그래서 그 보자기를 다 뜯어서 3가지로 염색을 해서 그래서 이렇게 조각보를 제가 만들었어요. 다들 어머니에 대한 추억은 각별한 것 같아요.
We're very lucky.
선생님, 이제 조각보를 만드는 거를
While Hanji can be defined as the art of paper that embraces nature, Kyubang craft is a form of daily art that blooms in the hands of women,
우리 한국의
reflecting both artistry and the wisdom of practicality.
바늘땀이 위에서 보여지기 때문에 고운 색실. 그래서 여기도
Kyubang craft, once limited to the realm of women, has proudly emerged as Korea's representative art form and unique traditional culture.
이 규방공예라는 게 늘 생활 공예였거든요. 그래서 이제 아녀자들이 안방에서 모여서 실생활에 쓰는 것들을 다 만들었었잖아요. 옛날에는 어머니한테 배우고 어머니는 그 할머니한테 배웠고 네, 그래서 그 이제 배웠던 게 또 딸한테 또 전수가 되고 어떻게 옛날에 이렇게 이 생각을 했을까? 이렇게 하는 거를 어떻게 알아냈을까? 이거를 혼자 감동해서 정말 눈물이 날 정도로 그럴 때도 있었어요. 요거는 한국의 이제 오방색, 예, 파랑색, 노랑색, 붉은색, 흰색, 요 검정색이 예, 한국의 색이죠. 이게 이걸 제가 드리면 제가 했는 걸 드리면 가지고 가셔서 저를 기억하시고 한국을 기억하시고 좋은 추억이 되셨으면 해서 제가 드릴게요.
Every time I look at it, I'm going to look at it's going to remind me of the generosity of the Korean people, because I think something as special as this that's all been handmade and then just given to me on this journey will remind me so much of the whole experience. I will keep it in my room, in my Hanji room, and every time I look at it, I'm sure I'll be inspired.
An hour-long drive from Yeongchun brings Jan to Cheongdo. Sitting at the southernmost tip of Gyeongsangbuk-do Province, the county is where the 1,000-year-old history and traditions of the Three Kingdoms period live on. Looking at the traces that have endured the passage of time, Jan is once again amazed by the depth of Korean traditions. Hanji, too, withstood all those years and the changing times to be what it is today.
It gives a lovely, tranquil feeling of peace and history, actually, just sitting here and looking around. And so I'm really pleased to be here in Cheongdo and to find out a little bit more about this district and the history of the district as well. So it's another beautiful place that I've been able to visit in this journey, and so it's been, yeah, it's wonderful.
Jan is in Cheongdo to visit Yeongdam Hanji Art Museum. Established in 2007, it is the only museum in Korea that is dedicated to Hanji.
이런 종이는 이제 아주 부드럽게.
Yes.
예, 이거는 이제 중치 작업을 한 거죠.
It's like fine fabric.
Yes.
You can see through it. It's just...
The world of Hanji was much broader than she had thought. Perhaps that's why Hanji is called the paper of 1,000 years. Though she has been using Hanji for more than a decade, Jan continues to be surprised by the new discoveries she's making in her travels.
요거는 진달래 꽃 있죠?
It's very soft.
진달래 꽃이 들어간 거예요.
Yeah.
그 꽃을 따가지고 그 꽃잎을 즙을 짜서 그 즙을 짠 거로는 색을 들이고 그 찌꺼기 꽃잎 찌꺼기로다가 종이 뜰 때 이렇게 섞어서 뜬 거예요. 닭종이 이 속도 다 종이에요. 이 속에서부터 다 종이로만 한 거예요. 종이를 계속 덧붙여 가가지고 말리면서 또 하고 말리면서 또 붙이고 그러고 또 이렇게 옷을 입히고 그래서 이렇게 컬러를 칠하는 거예요.
And I like the more muted colours of the clothes compared to really, really bright ones. So it looks more like the farmers, and yeah, they're just beautiful. They really are. I do love this piece as well. Can you tell me about
내
that?
작품이에요.
Yeah.
이거는 내가 종이를 여러 가지를 만들어서 이렇게 작품으로 이렇게 구상을 한 거예요.
A piece of work grabs her attention. It consists of hanji that has been made with safflower flowers and dyed purple with mulberries and grapes. Each piece of hanji used in the work reflects the life of this artist, who has been making hanji for 30 years. Lately, much global spotlight has been placed on the artistry and superiority of hanji. Its unlimited potential must surely stem from the burning passion of these individuals.
한지는 저한테 있어서 아주 아주 좋은 도반이죠. 네, 같이 길을 가는 도반입니다. 아주 그 한 장의 종이는 그야말로 제게 있어서 제 마음의 드넓은 영역을 마음껏 펼치고 접는 도량과도 같은 것입니다. 네. 우리 종이는 정말 그 어떤 신기한 매력이 있어요. 네. 이거를 만들고 이거를 또 만지면 만질수록 그 묘한 그 종이의 변신이 아주 다양합니다.
Depending on the materials used and its thickness, hanji can become a letter or an art material or a daily object. Its endless possibilities are simply amazing.
I've been overwhelmed. I think the words I used when I first walked in were wow, wow, wow. I think up to now I've only used it in one particular way, and to see what else you can do with hanji. I've seen different techniques that she's used, like changing the paper itself. I really want to try and use some of those ideas and broaden my knowledge, well, broaden my outlook on using it, instead of just using it on solid objects.
Hanji is also closely related to Buddhism. It was used to copy down scriptures that carry the words of the Buddha, as well as to make important ornaments that were used during Buddhist ceremonies. To those who are transcribing the scriptures, hanji represents faith itself. Wishing to learn more about the Buddhist culture in relation to hanji, Jan heads to the nearby Unmunsa temple. Cheongdo's Unmunsa temple was built in the year 560 during the Shilla dynasty. It obtained its current name when Taejo Wanggon, who founded the Goryeo dynasty in 918, named the temple Umunseonsa. It's a quaint temple with a large 500-year-old pine tree standing in its yard. What made the temple famous in the first place can be found here in the Daeung Bojeon Hall.
여기는 운문사 대웅 보존으로서 저 단을 갖다가 수미산에서 이렇게 이름을 따서 수미단이라고 한다.
The depiction of lotus flowers and chrysanthemums is both delicate and vivid. Jan observes them closely, thinking of ways to reflect them in her own work.
Something that struck me is the fine detail in the paintings. They're as fine can be, and to see the fine details and the colours of the buildings and the shapes of the roofs is really quite inspiring, yeah.
For a long time, she's been harboring a question about the patterns on hanji. Seeing the same patterns at the temple, she finally makes the connection between Hanji and Buddhism, and her understanding of the world of Hanji expands a little farther.
어서 오십시오.
Thank you. Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
네. 피슬문화촌은 한 20여 년 전에 종합문화공간 어떤 그런 개념으로 시작하게 되었습니다.
Ah,
그런데 오늘
beautiful,
네.
beautiful place you have
예,
here.
고맙습니다.
Yeah.
예.
For a few years now, artists have been gathering in Cheongdo. The Pisur Culture Village became a popular cultural and arts attraction thanks to its beautiful natural scenery and unique displays.
Can you tell me about this piece here?
예. 청도에 원래 소싸움이 우리나라에서 참 유명합니다. 그래서 그 소를 만들었는데 인간의 내면을 갖다가 이 표현한 그런 형상이라고 그렇게 알고 있습니다.
Ah,
이 소 108 마리수. 예. 예, 소. 예.
this is interesting. I love the way the bark's been painted on this piece. It's obviously a pine tree, and it looks as if there's something in behind it. I'm not sure if that's meant to be like that, whether it's supposed to be one branch standing right out and the rest just in the background. I'm presuming that would be the case. But the colours are very subtle and very true to life of the trees here in Korea.
Draw nature on Hanji, and Hanji becomes part of nature. Shape it by hands, and it becomes art. To artists, Hanji is much more than just a material. Curious about a completely new type of Hanji, Jan turns her eyes to Korean painting.
Hello.
안녕하세요.
you?
예.
I love this painting over here too. It looks like similar to a tree that I saw on a painting on a wall when I was walking through a little village recently.
군자가 배워야 될 덕목 중에 제일 첫 번째 매화 중에 하나 있다.
Yes, why do you like Hanji?
한지는 우리 사람 인체의 우리 숨결 호흡하고 너무 일치합니다. 숨 쉬는 것 같은 부드러운 이런 감정이 여기다 그대로 반영이 됩니다.
I find it very relaxing to look at.
우리 한국의 한지 위에 그려지는 그림은 담백한, 단순하고 담백한 이 압축식이고 함축식이고 생략하는 이런 게 멋이거든요. 저 한지 위에 그리는 그림들은 전부 그 의미입니다. 의미를 많이 담습니다. 정신.
Yes, I can see that. I can see the blend. All right, I will try. It looks so easy. I'll try with the big brush.
Korean painting had looked so easy.
이 힘을 줘서
Is that how you do it? Yes.
But it proves to be quite difficult to reproduce the art that Hanji has been preserving for some 2,000 years.
This has more depth because you've got the depth of the colour changing by the flick of the wrist, whereas with oil painting it's more solid. The colours are more solid.
한국에서 이 한지 위에 먹으로 그림 그리는 거는 표현보다도 수행이거든요. 수행. 제가 그 붓을 하나 드릴 테니까 한지의 그림을 좀 그려보세요.
I will definitely try it on Hanji. I've always been too frightened of painting on Hanji because I thought that the colours would run too much, but I can see it's in the technique of doing it that's important.
A poem is a painting that speaks, whereas a painting is a silent poem. Shihwa, or illustrated poetry, is a unique genre of Oriental art that consists of poetry and painting. Min Byung-do, a poet and a painter, gives Jan a wonderful shihwa as a present.
붓을 들고 글씨를 쓰고 글씨에 감정을 실어서 쓰는 이제 우리 동양 쪽의 사람들한테는 한지 발견이라는 건 이 문화의 혁명이죠. 어마어마한 이제 혁명을 이룬 건데 이 총이 위에서는 단번에 그 숨소리가 들릴 듯이 물소리가 들릴 듯이 바람소리가 들릴 듯한 느낌을 여기다 담아내야 되니까 오래 그 수련이 필요하고 이제 그게 마치 그 구도자들이 구도하는 것처럼 이런 오랜 숙련의 과정들이 필요한 거죠. 그렇게 해서 단 한순간에 내가 바라는 그 표현을 그대로 해내야 되니까 그냥 그 드로잉 개념으로 이렇게 접근해야지 페인팅 개념으로 접근하면 한지는 활용할 수 없다 이런 생각입니다.
The journey has taught Jan the difference between Oriental and Western arts. Hanji prefers simple, single strokes and is characterized by a delicate beauty, though it may lack splendor. Having quietly served as the vessel for creativity for all these years, it resembles a generous plain dish. Cheongdo is also famous for its persimmons. This regional specialty even gave rise to a persimmon wine tunnel.
세계 최초로 개발한 감 와인이 숙성되고 있는 와인 터널입니다.
A century ago, trains used to pass through this tunnel. It was shut down when the trains were discontinued, but then was renovated and spruced up by Cheongdo wine. Recently, the tunnel has made a name for itself as a cultural and artistic venue that combines wine and arts, offering diverse hands-on cultural programs as well.
This reminds me of when we used to live in Korea, and I love these purple flowers, and it reminded me of the countryside where I used to live near Andong, and we'd go for drives during on the weekends, and we'd stop on the side of the road, and then we'd see all these beautiful purple flowers.
Honsinji Pond is Jan's last destination in Cheongdo. The lotus leaves and stems may have lost the beautiful flowers that bloomed in summer. Jan, however, is having the best time discovering new aspects of Hanji. Jan finds herself back in Insadong in Seoul. Having discovered Hanji and the colors of Korea, she is ready to create a new piece of art. She heads to a folk painting museum to meet someone special. It's Kim Soo-ji, a young artist who has merged Hanji with folk painting.
Oh, beautiful.
민화는 조선시대 때 가장 사랑받았던 그림 중에 하나예요. 선조들이 건강을 기원하고 오래 살았으면 좋겠고 애를 많이 낳았으면 좋겠고 그런 소망들이 함축적으로 담겨져 있는 그림이에요.
Left behind by unknown artists, these entertaining folk paintings blend natural sceneries and animals with the basic wishes in life, longevity and success.
지금까지 호방한 그림 봤고요. 지금은 좀 구방궁에 맞는 좀 여성성이 담겨져 있는 아기자기한 그림이 화조도예요.
Hwajodo, which was often hung in the room of newlyweds, represents the wish for fecundity and conjugal happiness through its splendid flowers and bright colors. Jan wants to depict her journey through folk painting, the most Korean of all art genres.
민화에서 가장 포인트가 되는 게 자연스러운 발임이에요. 1차 색과 2차 색의 경계선에서 이렇게 스무스하게 발임이 되는 그 자체가 근데 한지 종이 자체가 질기고 그리고 물이 닿았을 때도 그걸 커버할 수 있기 때문에 그 표현력이 더 잘 되는 종이라고 생각되어져요. 이 자체가.
How will she express all the Hanji-related stories, the lives of the individuals that Kyubang craft reflects, and the traditions and cultures of Korea that have captivated her all over again? She has a lot of thinking to do.
Hi, Soo-ji Kim. Nice to see you again. I've
무슨 종이에요?
made this paper. I've dyed this paper, and I thought maybe we could. So, what do you think? Yeah.
너무 이쁜데. 우와.
Yeah.
선생님 이거 어떤 작업 하시고 싶으세요?
What would I like to make? I think that I'd like to make a big leaf, and then using the different colours of autumn in the leaf.
그러면 선생님 가을이니까요. 지금 염색하신 것도 다 가을색이고 이거를 한국의 땅 느낌? 그럼?
Yes, that could be on the ground. And then in the middle we have a bit of a mixture between the blue and the mustard colour. And to me this represents the joining of cultures between Korea and Australia. It's a merging of colours and a merging of cultures.
Will she be able to create what she has in mind?
이게 질감 이렇게 느낌 살려도 좋을 것 같아요.
In the hands of the two artists, Hanji becomes the ground, the sky, and a big leaf.
마르기 전에 구겨주세요. 과감하게 하셔도 돼요. 이렇게. 그러니까 제가 좋아하는 작업이고요. 제가 즐겨하는 작업인데요. 한지의 질감이 더 극대화돼서 마르기 전에 작업하면 훨씬 이쁘게 마를 거예요, 선생님.
Jan wants to include a drawing of the persimmons that she saw in Cheongdo.
The lotus leaves I saw in
the pond at the traditional home, and even though the leaves were starting to fade, they still had a beauty all their own. A beautiful turtle that's been painted and put on here, and this represents the rich history that's here, the longevity. A turtle represents longevity.
그라데이션 표현인데요. 발임이라고 해요. 1차색 위에 2차색을 올리고 이 경계면을 물붓을 사용해서 자연스럽게 풀어주세요.
Okay. The flower.
연꽃. 선생님, 여행 얘기가 여기 잘 담겨져 있는 것 같나요?
I do. It has all the symbols of the journey that I've just undertaken, and everything has come together in a wonderful time that I've had here in Korea. You're such a wonderful artist, and I really appreciate your time and the effort that you've put into helping me here. And you learn every time you make something. You learn more and more, and next time you might do things differently. So passion is a very difficult thing to explain, but one which all I can say is that it's something that you really want to do, really, really enjoy. And it's interesting that my passion is a Korean passion, you know, a Korean thing, a Korean craft. It's such a traditional craft that it's handed down from one generation to another. So I thought, well, I can put my ideas down and my journey of doing Hanji, because it's such a wonderful craft. This journey for me has been amazing, and it's going to help me so much with my book, because I've been able to see different sides of the Hanji paper and the way that it's been made traditionally. I get this sense of peace and serenity that normally I can't experience when I'm overseas, when I'm at home. So for me, being here in Korea and being able to experience Korea once again is a turning point in doing my book, because I can add so much more now, so much more information that has been given to me. For me, it's a wonderful journey and something that I will never forget.